Computer. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:05 p.m. on September 20th, 2022. Today's day 3 of RE-101, and welcome, everyone. I am going to recap a little bit about what we covered on day 1 and day 2, because obviously this is a progressive training seminar. What has happened over the last couple of days is you decided to join a brokerage and you decided to join the right one. Welcome, everyone. Secondly, when you chose all the value that particular brokerage offers you, it's a lot of it was about the technology, leadership, and mentorship, and coaching and training. That's why we're all here, put here today. What we recently learned was how to deal with buyers. We went through the buyer scripts, how to start sounding like a real estate agent. We learned how to open up lock boxes. And then we went in the last session, we learned about how to get a listing, the pre-listing package, the listing presentation in and itself. The CMA was quite extensive. And, I'm not sure, sometimes people consider that a little bit of information overload. So, if you guys had trouble, catching up with that entire process, let me know. I'll take the time. Day 3 is a little bit flexible. Let me go over the agenda really quickly with you guys, and I'm actually going to throw it up on the screen in my Word here and share. Let's share Microsoft Word. There it is. Okay, so this is today's agenda. Okay, so we're going to talk about open house procedures. So in last Thursday, we talked about getting a listing. Let's say you got the listing. That's great. And maybe part of your value proposition was to do open houses for your seller. So we really should learn how to do open houses properly. Okay. And also, let's say somebody walks into the open house and wants you to write an agreement of purchase and sale. Fantastic. This is the moneymaker, guys. Today's class is all about the agreement of purchase and sale. Now, there are certain terms and conditions that may seem a little bit different the way I'm going to teach it to you versus the way OREA or Humber taught it to you. Mine is more grassroots. It's purely based upon experience. I'm not a cookie cutter kind of training type of person that Treb puts out there or OREA puts out there, but or Humber puts out there. But it's an interactive process. So if there's something about the agreement of purchase and sale that you don't fully understand, please let me know, right? And obviously part of putting in an agreement of purchase and sale is the nerve-wracking idea of how to negotiate price and terms. And sometimes it's not always about price. Okay, so we're going to cover that. And also, let's say it gets accepted. Okay, your work is actually just beginning. You think that they accepted your agreement of purchase and sale, fantastic. Now what? Okay, you got all this other work to do. You got to follow up with your mortgage agents, your inspectors, insurance agents, appraisers, and your client's probably going to want to call the entire family. And if you're like my family, you have 20 people here, you're going to book an appointment for 20 people to all cram themselves into this little house that you just bought or a condo, and because you want to show it off, right? And we're going to talk about the ups and downs of that, and we're going to talk about how to prepare for closing. And I've got a little document from Mark Wiseleader that I'm going to share with you guys. And obviously, like I said in all the previous seminars, you don't have to take print screens. You don't have to do any of this recording stuff. I will send all the attachments to you guys in a subsequent email. As long as you've registered for this class, you will get all the course materials as well as the full recorded video. When I didn't record these sessions, I used to get 30, 40, 50 people out in person to each one of these classes. So you know what? Because I'm recording it, I get it. You want to watch it in the comfort of your own home, which is why about 20 or 30 people are not here with us today. But I'm looking at the YouTube clicks, and I'm getting about 30 to 40 clicks on each one of my videos. So I do know that people are following me up and taking a look at the video. All right. Any questions about the agenda today? All right. I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'm going to do a full screen. I'm going to switch views here. Let's go to the speaker view. And I am going to get right into the open house. I'm going to share a video with you guys. Let me find the video. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen this video before. Where is it here? There it is. Let's share this. Share. This is from Rico. And I'm going to double check my audio settings and my sharing sound. Oops, did I turn that off or on? geez, I just updated my Zoom account, and now everything is, yeah, share sound is on. Let me know if you guys can hear this, okay?
Feel free to wander around my house. I'm handling the sale myself, as you know, so if you have any questions, I'll be downstairs.
So as you guys can possibly imagine, this video was from 10 years ago, okay? And it hasn't lost any of its luster. This particular video was put out there because there was a tremendous number of problems with open houses. So if your client asks you to do an open house, or if you volunteer to do an open house, or if you have an agent in the office because you don't want to do the open house and you want to have them do the open house, I think it's really important that you safeguard that open house and you protect your client's belongings. And there's a very, very simple methodology to this: out of sight, out of mind. Okay. Now, traditionally, we don't leave people unattended in open houses, do we? Now, back in the day, I remember being a brand new agent and showing houses for the very first time. And I showed up at an open house on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and I saw this agent. There was a golf game on the television, and they were watching golf. And yes, I'm an agent, and he I guess he assumed that I was supervising my clients, but he just waved at me like this. He said, "Go ahead, take your time." And he was more interested. I think it was probably the Masters or something that was on. It was a really important golf game. And I kind of scratched my head and I kind of went, "Wow, he's really not working, is he?" And those are the kind of things that you shouldn't. That you're actually being exposed to bad behavior, but because you've seen it out in the industry, you think, well, if he did it, why can't I? And so, once again, if you're not supervising the people that you're with, you're doing the seller a disservice. Number two, right? If you're the listing agent and you're allowing an open house and you have agents that are going to be doing the open house for you, you need to have conversation with them. And just recently, I was part of a arbitration case where one of our agents asked another agent to do an open house. They gladly did it. They didn't talk about anything. They just wanted to do the open house. And who would have thought that somebody that came to the open house wanted to buy this house? They never negotiated price and terms with the listing agent. So this agent is sitting there assuming that, hey, well, this person walked to the open house. I'm doing the open house. This is my client, and they want to buy this house. And they were kind of under the impression that that person was the listing agent, so they wanted to put that offer through them. And then, they took them back to the office. They prepared an offer, and they emailed it to the listing agent, who happened to be, out of town, but able to deal with it electronically. He went, "Hey, where did you find this client?" It was, "They came to the open house." "Well, that's my client." "Whoa, wait a minute." "What do you mean that's your client?" I did the open house. We never talked about this. And subsequently, that agent, to compensate the person that sat in the open house, that opened the door for that person to come in and sell that house, want to know how much that agent offered to compensate that agent? $500. And she justified it by saying, that should be more than enough money for your time. Now, there's always misunderstandings in our business, but that's a big one, don't you think? And there are listing agents who solemnly believe that you're not worth more than the time that you put in. Forget your skill, right? Forget your ability to sell the home. Yes, it was their listing. They're absolutely correct. Are they entitled to something? What do you guys think? You think the listing agent is entitled to anything? if they allow you to do an open house in their property? Tony, what do you think?
You asking me?
Yeah,
I think the listing agent should get something. It's his listing.
Okay.
How much, I don't know, and how much the agent that showed the property, that did the open house, how much he should get. That's a good question. Because there was a 1 day, 1-off for the showing agent, but the listing agents worked up to that point pretty hard. So I think it should be, a dollar amount to the showing agent, to the open house agent, in my opinion. 500, $1,000, I guess. I don't see anything wrong with that.
okay, unless you're the buyer agent.
What's that?
If you're the buyer agent, you might think
Well,
differently.
no, okay, if you're representing the buyers, yeah, I can see that, right? So you're saying if I represent the buyers that came in?
Yeah.
Well, no, I should be entitled to my 2.5%.
So
my
as you can
buyers.
see, there's a wide divide here. You see the misunderstanding? And you guys might have seen through the paging system, people asking people to do open houses all the time. But have you talked about what happens if you do find a buyer? And what if you do find a buyer, but they don't want to buy that listing and they want to buy another house? What happens then?
What's the rule on that? It should be, you've done the work in getting the buyer's business, so it should be yours, no?
So watch this. Internally in Remax West, because we were representing both sides of this, right? It wasn't a brokerage going after another brokerage. It's internal. And here's another thing you guys should also know. You're not allowed to have registrants from other brokerages sit in your open houses. And you, in turn, are not allowed to do open houses in another brokerage's listing. Right? The reason being, your insurance doesn't cover you. Okay? So it's very important that you guys understand that you're only allowed to do open houses within, now, unless you co-list that property and it's documented evidence that both brokerages agree to co-list the property, that would be the one exception. Okay, but let's go back to this whole negotiation. If I'm going to do an open house for you, right, I would expect all the commission. But you're absolutely right. I'm a reasonable person. What if I gave you a 25% referral? Wouldn't that just make sense? Or if we truly are partners and we would like a long-lasting relationship of me doing your open houses on a consistent basis, maybe we can negotiate that and say, you know what, we're partners in this. Why don't we do 50-50? I don't want to touch your listing percentage, but if there's 2.5%, why don't I get 1.25% and I'll give 1.25% back to the listing agent? But obviously, the disclosures have to exist. You have to let the buyer know that, this is a dual representation situation. You've got one brokerage representing both sides, and if the written consent is conveyed, then you can proceed. Any questions about that? Anybody disagree with that approach?
So what you're saying is that you negotiate it beforehand.
Right.
And you're saying it should be anywhere from 25 to 50%, or that's something you guys agree on, right?
Exactly. Now,
okay. What's number?
I've seen listing agents say, you know what? No. I get 75, you get 25. It's just an open house. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it's a little greedy. Don't you think? You've done all the work.
What's the common practice out there?
So common practice would be either 25% or 50%.
Okay.
I can't speak to greed. There is, unless there's something in writing, and so don't do it verbally. This is another one. Okay, so that arbitration piece that I actually just overheard, there was a lot that was said verbally. And what one person said wasn't what the person that was receiving what was said, isn't what they heard.
So Charles, if I understand you correctly, the listing agent gets 2.5% and he gets half of the other 2.5%. Is that correct?
That's right.
It's 50%.
It's a 50-50 on the cooperating commission.
No, but the listing agent gets the full 2.5% on
Yeah,
the
you're not touching the listing. You're not touching the listing side of the
2.5%.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions about that, please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Charles, I have a question.
Yes.
Suppose you do open house on behalf of your colleague who is the listing agent, and a client comes in without any agent. Okay. and she or he will be interested in the property and finally will buy the property. And in such case, me as the person who managed the open house will be entitled for 2.5% of the cooperating agent.
Well, you would think that that would just make sense, right?
I do.
Seems like common sense, right?
It makes sense, I think, you know.
But what if the listing agent says, no, 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 my listing, my open house, you're not going to get anything. Not a very nice way of approaching it, is it?
What is as Tony asked, what is the general practice?
There is no general practice here. It's like it's across the map. So some people will offer a 25% referral back to the listing agent, right? As a result, because you're doing all the work. The listing agent didn't want to do it. But the listing agent thought they were doing you a favor. And they gambled a little bit in the whole fact that they didn't meet these people because they weren't there.
So Charles, in that case there, if the person decides not to buy that house, signs up with the open house agent and buys another house, who gets that commission then? Is the
So that perfect segue. Okay, I'm gonna bring open my next slide here. Okay, so watch this, guys. I'm gonna share my screen. Where is this? So this is my personal way of having people register. Can everybody see this? Okay, this is my open house sheet. I made it in Microsoft Excel. And what it does, very simple, right? You want a name, you either want a phone number and or an email. The property name and address is at the top, the date that you did that open house, you might even want to put the time, and then you're going to have several of these sheets, okay, that are going to be on hand. So for some of my open houses, I remember doing an open house in Markham, Ontario once, and I had 57 showings. I had 57 people sign in. And it wasn't a 2-hour open house. I can tell you that right now. It was more like a 6-hour open house. I had pages and pages and pages of neighbors that came through that property. Now, had I given that open house to somebody else and they had pages and pages of all these leads, technically, who's entitled to this information? Wouldn't you think the seller is? Shouldn't the seller know who came to their house? Because what if something happens? So RICO wants us to identify everybody that comes into a property. If they are unaccompanied by a real estate agent, and the real estate agent does, there's no, going back to say, well, this person obviously knows this person. If someone comes in off the street and you ask for their name, phone number, and or email, and just out of good measure, you go, you know what? The seller always deflect. It's not you, right? The seller would appreciate if you just could clearly identify yourself, right? Do you have any identification that you could show me? And then you have now quantifiably identified who's entered that home. Here's the other thing. When you're showing that property, if you're by yourself, you lock that door behind you and you make sure there's no other key. And if someone rings the doorbell, yes, you can run and go back and check to see if it is. If it's an agent and you're comfortable with that agent taking their client through, fine, let them go. But if they're unaccompanied, they've got to wait. Now, do they not teach this in the college? Anybody just recently graduate? What did they tell you about open houses in the college? I'm curious.
Actually, nothing about the open house. In the simulation, there was a little discussion about the open house and few more practices. But this kind of things we never taught.
So that video that on RICO, they never played.
No.
Imagine
No.
someone just. So here's the worst thing that has ever happened under my watch. One of my agents did an open house, and 2 Louis Vuitton purses went missing from the master bedroom closet. That's $4,000. The lady walked in without a purse, walked out with 2, and the open house agent had no idea that is just what happened. Are you guys getting does this strike a little bit of fear in you when talking about open houses? Because that's what it's meant to do. So
Actually, the open house, Charles, the open house topic was never covered in any simulation session or any other
Okay.
exam. There was no focus on the open session, sorry,
Okay.
open house, but there was mostly like they were focusing on the forms and like offers and all. But the open house was not a
But you see the
subject
danger?
focus, yeah.
You feel my pain here?
Yep.
Okay, so there's another thing they never told you about. Okay, you didn't negotiate what you'd be compensated if you found a buyer for someone else's open house. Secondly, right, you didn't know how to protect that home. So as a listing agent, I always tell my clients, if you want an open house, right, you must put all your personal belongings away. Anything that you value should be put away. And just because it's put in a drawer, don't think that people aren't opening and closing drawers and opening and closing closets. It seems kind of odd. They are doing it. Okay. Any questions about that? I will send you this open house sign-in sheet. Okay, we're going to move on, guys. We're going to hit the next topic. Now, someone walks in and says, you know what? I really want to buy this house. So let's go. Let's get into Treb. Let me open up my browser. I believe I have Treb open. Oh no, must have closed it by accident.
Charles, I have a question.
Yep.
How many people at the same time do you normally let come into the open house? Because let's say sometimes the traffic is really high for open house, right? Like there are 2 people already inside and then some other person arrives. Do you usually like hold a line in front of the door, or do you just let
I'm
everyone?
gonna answer your question by asking a question. How many people can you keep an eye on?
Like depends if they're on the same floor, like a two-story, 3-story home.
Do you let people split up?
What do you mean, like separate people, separate
Okay,
groups of people?
so 3 people come in, 2 men and 1 female. 1 female stays with one of the guys, and the 3rd male breaks off and takes off on his own. What are you gonna do?
That's tough, yeah.
It's not tough. Excuse me, sir. Do you mind if we all remain together?
Oh, okay.
I can't have you walking around this house by yourself. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let's control the situation. Same with children. How often have children walked out of somebody's house with somebody else's toy? They really liked this car, and it ended up in their pocket.
I see. So as many people, so you have to supervise everyone. when they're in the-
Everyone.
I see, thank you.
Don't know why they don't teach this to you guys. It should be common sense, shouldn't it? You
Yeah,
don't just walk around somebody's house. Are you guys comfortable doing that? Okay.
no,
Hey, I'm gonna share my screen again, right here. Share screen. And there's my trap. Okay, guys, let's go find a house. Properties. My favorite area would be the beaches. Always keeping an eye on what's going down in EO2, right? So there's 4 updates in the beaches. See if we recognize anything here. Look at this. Price change, 273 Willow Avenue. Okay, let's say you were asked by this agent to do this open house. This has been on the market for 12 days. Looks like the price is now $1,099,000. They reduce it for $1,149,000. That's a $50,000, price break. Okay. You would like to prepare an offer on this particular property. I'm going to put a link. I'm actually going to email you guys a link to my full 3-hour video on how to use web forms and Authentisign. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how quickly and easily it is. If you know this listing inside and out. Now they've just reduced the price to $1.1 million. Right at the top here, if you're using Stratus, right, there is a web forms Authentisign button right here. You guys see that? If I click on this, and if you take my web forms Authentisign course, you will have already, right, have put templates. You see this? This launches the wizard. It's already got the address. I'm going to pull down here. And I want a residential freehold sale. Because I've already put that template into web forms. It's got, I am the cooperating salesperson, right? Now, if it was dual agency, I would put both. But in this particular case, I'm just going to call myself the cooperating salesperson. Yes, I want to use the wizard. I'm going to click on create. You guys are going to be dumbfounded. If you're not already using templates, you are going to after this session. Now, what's beautiful about this, because I sucked all the information directly from the MLS, I now have all that information in my wizard. You see, it's all populated in here. Okay. Now, the lot size code is in feet, the direction is not, but that's okay. We can fill all this stuff in later. Now, let's say the person that walked into the open house, maybe they saw it before and they said, I see they just reduced the price of 1.1 million. I'd like to offer $999,000. I can actually put that in right here. 999,000. Okay. And traditionally, no rule, but we like to give a 5% deposit. What is 5% of $1 million? 50,000.
Charles, you got an extra 9 in that purchase off price.
I do. I love doing that, don't I? And what is its present use? Single. Anybody want to finish this off for me? Single family residential. Okay. What does it include? Well, I can go right back to the top and I can go down to the chattels. All right. What do we have in here? We have did not put the chattels in the normal spot. Can you believe it? This agent did not put the chattels in here. Where are the fridge? Where is the stove? You know what? We're gonna have to make this up as we go along, aren't we? Look what they put in. Second floor includes license. This has nothing to do with, guys, if you ever put up a listing, don't do this. Okay? Extras. What belongs in extras? Anybody want to tell me?
The appliances.
What comes with the property?
Yeah.
It's not where you should be putting in extra marketing. But okay, you know what? Fine. They didn't put it in there. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to make it up. How about a fridge? How about a stove? Right? How about a washer / dryer? Right? What else do we want? We want the window coverings? All of them, right?
Light fixtures, maybe.
Yeah. Now there are acronyms that we can use, but I don't recommend using them, right? If I put in all electrical. Ooh, my spelling is terrible today. Electrical. Light fixtures. What else? How about the gas burner? Is there a gas furnace in this place? Let's check. Where's the heating? Forced air gas. So there's got to be a furnace in this place. So we're going to go back here. We're going to put gas furnace. Was there air conditioning? You guys see? Where is it here?
None.
It says none, eh? Oh yeah, you're right there. No air conditioning. Wow, that's comfortable. No wonder they reduced the price. What else? Now, for you guys that are fairly new to this, you should know that if you don't specifically mention removable items in your list of chattels, potentially the seller could potentially remove them for you. And the marginal items might be things like wall brackets for televisions, mirrors, okay, any kind of removable shelving. Shelving is another one. Sometimes shelving is extremely arguable.
What
Some
about
people
TVs?
call them built-ins, but they're not really built-in. They were hung on the wall for safety purposes, but they just unhooked and then they took the shelving.
And
So
what
there's a
about-
number of things that you guys really need to specifically mention. And if I actually go back to this MLS listing and I actually look at a lot of the photos are probably going to tell me whether I should be including, well, this is a vacant home. Look at that. But no, look at this. There is a stove. There is a fridge. I can see it. But guess what? Right in here, underneath the sink, there's a missing cabinet. I don't know if they attempted to put it. Is this a dishwasher over here? Or is this a dishwasher? I don't know. I'd have to take a look at all of these photos and have to recall from memory exactly what I saw, right? Window shutters. Okay, I just saw a shelf a little while ago. Like, could they potentially take these patio you know, what do you call these? Patio slabs? Right? Could they take those away? Well, if you don't specifically mention them in the agreement of purchase, they're not fixed to the property. Yeah, they probably could. What would they do with them? God knows what. How about these little lights on the top of this fence? These look like those LED solar lights. So if you see anything that you think that they could potentially take away, guess what? You should mention it in the agreement of purchase and sale. So let's go back to that. Here's an unusual.
Charles, what about
Yep.
TVs? TVs is another big one.
Yeah, the wall brackets for the television. Now, the television, if they hang on a bracket, are usually not in dispute. But when you take the wall bracket off the wall, what ends up happening to the wall?
It's got a hole in it.
It's got holes in it. You see why people get pissed off? Solar lights in backyard. Okay. Were there any exclusions in this property? Let's go back to the MLS. What is this? Do that, close. And nope, I don't, normally you would also use the extra section, right? Property is sold in as is, where is condition. So they probably want to as is, where is clause. Okay, we can do that for them as well. So there's probably, I'm going to put in none. By the way, if you're typing in an agreement, it's not good to leave blank space. Okay, rental items. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to take the hot water tank because 99% of them are rented. Okay, and I believe there's probably going to be a Schedule B. If I look on Stratus, I go to the top here. Oh, look at that. There's no schedule. But I'm going to assume it is a Royal LePage office, right? Royal LePage usually does have an interest-bearing trust account. Therefore, they were just probably too lazy to upload it. So I'm going to be preemptive, and I'm going to add Schedule B here. Because I'm probably going to call the listing agent going, hey, do you have a Schedule B? Do you guys have an interest-bearing trust account? Does anybody not understand why we have Schedule Bs? Anyone?
Yeah, can you explain it?
Okay, so back in 2006, they passed a new act. It was called the Real Estate and Business Broker Act 2002. And it took them 4 years to ratify it. So we got it in 2006. In that old legislation, which is in a bygone era now, they introduced something because they knew that the real estate brokerages had interest-bearing trust accounts where the deposits. So if you have $1 million deposit and you're giving that to a brokerage and it's a commercial deal and you're holding that deposit for 1 year, wouldn't you like to know whether or not the broker was getting interest on your money? Yes or no?
Yeah,
Is it a significant amount of money?
yes, it is.
It is, isn't it? Now, in small town Canada, no one gives you $1 million deposit. They give you a $500 deposit. So if you held a $500 deposit for 30 or 90 days, is it a big deal?
No.
No. And you see why it was never considered a really big deal until Vancouver and Toronto, the two largest real estate markets in Canada, the real estate brokerages were putting your deposit money in an interest-bearing trust account. Now, the government decided if that money sits in an interest-bearing trust account, should you disclose yes or no? Yes. And that's why Schedule B was conjured up. So if you actually look at I'm going to show you Remax West Schedule B in a second. We disclose, okay? Because you have to be compliant. So instead of clicking on save and exit, I'm going to click on next, right? And these are all the dates. The offer date is today, the 20th. I'm going to give them until tomorrow, which is the 21st. Okay, there is no acceptance date. There's no additional clause. Now let's look at closing date. If I go back to this MLS, there is something called possession here. The possession remark, it says immediate because it's vacant. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to be like, you know what? To me, immediate means 30 days. Anybody want to argue with me? October 20th. Because you need to give the lawyers a chance. You need to give mortgage brokers a chance to actually, prepare for this closing. You can't, can you close tomorrow? No. Are you ready? And here's the other thing, title search. Now, because it's such a close, does anybody want to explain to me what a title search date actually means? Anyone? What is
It is-
title?
It
You
is
want to make sure that, I'm sorry,
15 days before closing,
yeah.
Why is it 15 days before closing?
because the lawyer needs around 15 days for
To do
doing
what?
to do the title search.
No. Okay, if I close in 1 year, why do they need 15 days before the closing date?
I don't know.
Ah. See? I'm not hearing anybody with the right answer here. Yet you're required to put in a title search date. The title search date is the due date in which the buyer's lawyer can examine whether the title is clean. Are there any liens against this property other than a typical mortgage, which we hope will be discharged, right? But why do we need the extra 15 days? Couldn't they do that right up until the closing date? Because what if there is something wrong? How long does it take a lawyer to fix it? Let me give you an example. And this happened to me, so it's a personal example. I sold a property on Merton Street years ago at Yonge and Eglinton. And my client had a very good friend who she called herself a stager. And she staged her property. She went out and bought brand new furniture. But my client, the seller, actually paid for the furniture. Okay, so she bought tens of thousands of dollars of furniture and replaced all the old crappy stuff that was in this property. She went out and bought beautiful window coverings and new light fixtures and carpets and knickknacks. It was beautiful. My client paid for all the product, but had not paid for her time. She had never even talked about how much she was going to charge for her time. She was charging $250 an hour. So at the end of all that, after spending $15,000, $20,000 in furniture, she gave her a bill for $4,500. And my client was distressed, going, wait a minute, you just came with me shopping. I bought everything that you told me to buy, and now you're giving me a $4,500 bill? And she said, yes. She goes, I thought we were friends. She goes, well, this is business. And she thought, you know what? There's no way I'm paying you that. You spent a few days with me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pay you $1,000. And she goes, absolutely not. She refused to accept $1,000. So anyways, the property was on the market. I got multiple offers on the property. I sold it to the highest bidder. And guess what? We found out about a couple weeks before the closing date, there was a construction lien on the property from this stager, $4,500. Is the title clean? Yes or no? She dirtied the title. She made the title very dirty. So, any legal experts in here? If that happens to your client, what do you tell them? Is the deal off? Blank stares, right? So under the Construction Liens Act, you can actually pay 125% of what is claimed into the court, and they will remove the lien off of the title. But how long does that take? Can you get a court date like this? Nope. So now, do you guys understand why the title search you have to give the lawyers? It doesn't happen very often, but you got to give the lawyers a chance not to breach the contract. And so they have time to fix the situation before the closing date. Any questions?
Can you repeat what you said about paying, was it, what did you say, 125%? I didn't understand that.
120. Okay, so what is 125% of $4,500? Who's got a calculator?
$4,000?
4,500, 4,500, right? Times 1.25. What does that come out to?
$56.25.
$5,625. Go get a line of credit for $5,700. I want you to throw that money and give it to the Ontario Supreme Court Construction Lien Division. And the courts will remove the lien. But what happens to that money, guys?
Is it held in trust until you settle, or?
Sometimes, actually, and I'll tell you this, we actually gave buyer's lawyer the money, and it was held in their trust account. Do you know why? It was potentially their problem, wasn't it? Because they were assuming, when they close on the house, they're assuming that. But you know, because it's already paid for, they've got nothing to worry about technically, right? So the seller still has to go to court sometime after the closing date and argue for that money in front of a judge. But does the property close, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So how much title search time do we want to give the lawyer? Here's the 20th. What was the suggestion?
I thought
15 days?
15 days.
How about 2 weeks? How about the 6th? Okay. Are you guys hearing this for the very first time in your lives? You guys have been asked to put in these dates, and you don't know why you're picking these dates? Okay. I guess it's my job, right? To explain it. Now, when I click next on the wizard, here's my name. Here's my brokerage. Here is the seller's name. Here's the listing agent's name, their brokerage. What's missing? Who's missing from this contract?
The
Buyer.
The buyer. Okay. Let's say it's just one buyer. I'm going to click add. And I'm going to create new transaction contact. Okay. And I'm going to pull down buyer, first name, John. I want capital. Right? Middle name, not Joe. Okay. I'm going to leave his email blank for now. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put in my email address. This is my junk email address. If you want to send me junk mail, please use this email address. You guys should all have a junk email address. You know, when you go shopping, give them this one. I'm going to click save. Look, the buyer is now showing up. Don't click on save and exit. Let's click on next. Now, because I've created a transaction template, all the forms that I'm going to need, Form 100, 320, 810, 801, 123, or 124, 120, 630, 122, 635, anything and everything that I may potentially need in this transaction is already uploaded to the transaction kit. Okay, but let's work on one of them. The most important one, Form 100, the agreement of purchase and sale. There we go. So we have this beautiful form all filled out for us, but there's a couple of things missing here. What side of the street was it fronting on? Oh, there's something in the chat box here. What does it say? Oh, hi, what proof would the designer have brought to put in the lien on the property? Well, that had to do with the court case. I wasn't actually invited to the hearing, but I do know that they actually negotiated a much lesser fee than the original 4,500 because there was a lot of, because there was lack of written contracts. The judge basically sat there and went, you know what, you guys pick a number, come back. Otherwise, I'm going to pick a number for you. That was the the gist of that particular hearing that I got. You guys never get to see this stuff for some reason. Like a lot of this stuff never ends up on you know, on the public in the public domain. Okay, so I'm going to share. I obviously have almost 1,000 experiences in transactions, and so somewhere in that 1,000 transaction list, I'm going to have something that's going to be related to the situation that you might be in. Okay, hopefully you guys are never in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that. Let's keep going, guys. If I actually go back to this listing, it actually asked me what side. It's fronting on the east. So just so you guys understand, if you're a listing agent and you said it's fronting on the east, but it's facing what direction? West. It faces west, but it's fronting on the east. Anybody not get that? Let's verify this. I'm going to click on Geo Warehouse. We're going to learn more about Geo Warehouse on Thursday. To give you a nice thorough lesson on Geo Warehouse. This particular property, you can see the street right here, Willow Avenue. And on the east side, you're absolutely right. It's the east side of Willow facing west. And whether your microphone is on or not, I need you to repeat that. Fronting on the east, facing west.
Fronting on the east, facing west.
Yes. I don't know why so many agents get this wrong. What do you mean? It faces west. It's on the east side of Willow. No, it's not. West side of Willow. It's on the east side. It's fronting on the east. It's facing west. It's fronting on the north, facing south.
Can you explain that? Like, I get confused with that myself.
Well, are you looking at this map?
Yeah, okay, so
What side of Willow is this on?
it's on the east side.
It's on the east side. So when I ask you, what is it fronting on?
Oh, it's fronting west. I got you. Okay.
No, it's facing west. It's fronting east. Let's try that one more time. What side of the street is it on?
East.
It's on the east. Let's go back to MLS. What did they say? What side of the street did they say it was on? East. Is he correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
He's correct. Got it? You guys learned something?
Well, it's fronting, it's facing the west side though, isn't it? You look in north,
Is
south.
MLS asking you which way it's facing?
No, it's fronting on.
Ah, thank you. Just
Okay.
got it, right?
Yeah, now I got it. Okay.
I heard the click. But I can't believe they don't teach this to you guys in the college. Such an important factor. Because you're required to provide accurate information on the MLS system. Yet they don't teach you how to be accurate. It's crazy. So anyways, let's keep going. Here's the agreement of purchase and sale. I'm gonna type in east. Side of, I'm gonna copy street name. And I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm too lazy to type. Right? And it's in the city of, what city are we in? Toronto. Now, this is interesting. It has a frontage, 15.49. Let's go back to the MLS. What does it say here? 15.49. What is the unit of measurement? Feet. So we're going to go back to the agreement of purchase and sale. There's a little pull down here. We have the choice between feet and meters. 90% of agents will always use feet, but 10 will use the metric system. So be very careful. Okay. I'm going to add something in right here. You see those asterisks they put on the legal description that they imported from the MLS? I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to click on Geo Warehouse. I'm going to scroll down and I want to take a look at this legal description. Which one do I like better? Do I like the one that's in MLS, which is kind of incomplete with some asterisks? Now, where do those asterisks take me? Let's go down to see if there's asterisks. Oh, look at down here. These are called instrument numbers, guys. And what this agent did, they didn't have enough space in this section to put the full legal description. So what are we going to do on the agreement of purchase and sale? I'm going to take away the asterisks, right? I'm going to put in a space, go back to MLS, go back to where those asterisks were. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to put it right in the agreement of purchase and sale. Can anybody tell me why this is going to be really important? Who's going to care? Who cares about the legal description, guys?
The lawyer.
The lawyer. What are you actually selling? Now, can anybody read this description to me and tell me what it means? You're all licensed real estate agents, right?
Oh.
So PT, part,
Lot,
17,
plan.
1064, right? Now, midway is interesting. We'll have to look that up. As in, what is this? What is this alphanumeric number? Anybody know?
I think it's parcel number.
If I copy this and I go back to Geo Warehouse and I do a search on it, watch this. Paste. Search. 273 Willow Avenue shows up. And if I click in this registration date, what is it? It's a transfer. Now, this is a little bit, maybe a little bit too advanced for you guys. but there is some kind of transfer that occurred on this property years ago, 1988. Look, it's stamped 1988 here. That they're making the lawyer aware of it. So they're, as part of the title search, they're going to investigate that instrument number. Let's go back. Okay, what is this number? CT 957997. Oh, you know what? It's the same number. So they mentioned it twice. So there's some kind of, maybe there was an expropriation, or there's some kind of encumbrance or encroachment. Do all of these things sound familiar from your real estate law course?
Yes.
Okay, so we obviously know there's something else in the legal description of this property that the lawyer is probably going to take a look at. Now, you as real estate agents, you have access to this. I can actually go back to Geo Warehouse and I can pay for this report, right? There's obviously something in here, but if I wanted to actually download the details of this, I would have to pay money. Okay? But it's curious to know exactly what that might be. I'm going to be honest with you. You see this little space in the back here? I think that's what it is. See this little empty space behind where it says 16.1? I think there's something going on with this space behind the house. You see that? This is without the satellite photo. Pretty interesting, huh? No, just by luck, we actually clicked on a listing that has something funky about the legal description. I'm glad I had an opportunity to share this with you guys, because we don't often, you know, a lot of them are pretty cookie cutter. This one's not. Okay. So anyways, we've got those instrument numbers in the legal description. Here's the 999,000 that we're going to offer. Now, does anybody know the difference between herewith upon acceptance and as otherwise described in this agreement when it comes to deposits?
Yes, that means like we are giving the deposit along with the offer.
Yep.
And if you are giving the deposit of once the offer is accepted, that means upon acceptance.
Okay.
And then if there is some other situation, so we can describe in
So
this.
let's talk about the other situation. Herewith is pretty self-explanatory. Upon acceptance is pretty self-explanatory. Although some people disagree. Read it right down here. If it's upon acceptance, you see where it says 24 hours right here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's how much time you have. It doesn't say 24 hours on a business day. It says 24 physical hours. So if your agreement is accepted at 7 p.m. on a Saturday, when is the deposit due? Before 7 p.m. on Sunday.
Sure.
Now, who do we pay the deposit to?
The brokerage, the listing brokerage.
The listing brokerage. So I'm going to go back to MLS. It's Royal LePage Estate Realty. If I actually click on this, I can actually just take this portion, copy it, and I can just paste that right in here. So let's go once again into that philosophy. We're obviously, you know, this is not a multiple offer situation. If it was, of course, we're going to have our deposit ready to go on offer date. But you know what? Doesn't seem to be a rush here. So we're going to go upon acceptance. Give me one scenario where you might want to use as otherwise described in this agreement.
Which you described now, if it fell on a Saturday, you need until Monday, right?
Well, if you needed Monday, and the pre-printed clause says it has to be in 24 hours, but you're physically incapable of giving them the deposit of $50,000 within 24 hours, what are you going to do? You're going to tell the listing agent, I can't give you the deposit 24 hours. I don't have the deposit right now. I'm going to put in a clause in Schedule A that will stipulate when you will get the deposit. Do we see that? Nothing is assumed. Everything is in writing. Okay? But that's not the circumstance. We can talk more about deposits a little bit later. Upon acceptance is fine. We understand that there's probably a Schedule B involved in here. I'm going to put Schedule B in schedules. Irrevocability. What does that mean in English? Anybody speak English? Irrevocability. What is the English definition of irrevocability? What does it mean?
Means you
Cannot
cannot
be
change your
revoked.
decision.
You can't take it back,
Yeah, cannot be revoked, so irrevocable.
right? You can't take it back.
Yeah.
But how many times do people say, can I have my offer back? It's like, what? You know what this paragraph 1 means on page 1? It means it's irrevocable. It means you can't take it back. So the answer is automatically no. So don't ask. Once you let that offer go, it's irrevocable by whatever you say. Now, who is conveying the offer? In this case, the buyer, right? Has anybody ever seen a seller offer? Where the seller sends the buyer an offer? Did they teach you that in the college?
Yeah, when there is a counter offer.
No, not the
it will
counter
be-
offer. I'm talking
I've done
about,
it.
Huh?
I've sent it as I've represented the seller. Two people came into it. They were both sort of humming and hawing. So I sent one of them an offer from the seller and to see if they would accept it. They
and
didn't.
that's fantastic. That is aggressive. I love it. You're an aggressive listing agent. Everybody hear that? Why are you sitting on your thumbs? Got 2 interested parties? Send them an offer. Sit there and wait. Watch soap operas.
I honestly didn't know you can do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but why do they give you a choice then?
Yeah,
Right? So, but let's be normal, okay? We're not all Jennies. How much time do you want to give them, guys? We already decided we're going to give them until tomorrow, which is what, the 21st? You might have learned this in the college. Everybody heard, why do they pick 11:59 p.m.? Somebody tell me who invented this. What does 11:59 p.m. mean?
before midnight.
Before midnight. What happens on midnight? When the clock strikes 12, what
It's,
happens?
it's void, I guess.
No, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
1200 means it's no longer today, it's tomorrow. 12 a.m., right? 12 a.m. is the beginning of the next day, which is why everybody wants to work today. And if you're working today, you're going to give them until 11:59, because as soon as it hits 12, it's tomorrow. 12 o'clock does not belong to today. It belongs to tomorrow. So if you want to do that, not my recommendation. I hate staying up until 11:59 p.m. But that's what they teach you in the college. So let's ruin your evening. You're going to sit at home. You're going to wait for a response until midnight. Completion date, we chose the 20th of October because 30 days, it was a vacant property. We don't really use fax numbers anymore, guys, unless you're out in cottage country. If I want to find the seller's email address for their agent, I go back to Stratus, close this, I actually click on the person's name, and the email address that's registered in TREB is usually pretty valid now, because we all use these email addresses when booking appointments in Broker Bay. We're going to be talking about that on Thursday as well. So I'm going to paste. This looks like a pretty reliable email address that this person is going to be able to receive documents. There's my list of chattels. There are no fixtures excluded. Hot water tank we think is a rental. Who knows anything about HST? Any accountants here?
Yeah.
Anybody know anything about HST? Why do we have it? Who invented it? What was HST called before it was called HST?
GST,
GST. What does that stand for?
goods and service tax.
And what happened not that long ago?
They harmonized both the provincial and federal GST into one. They call
Got
it.
it. It's the worst thing that happened to real estate, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, we only had to pay GST. What was GST? 7%? How much
Yeah.
is HST? 13%. We got shafted. But we didn't fight it. Because we're Canadian. Canadians don't fight. We love one another. We all love Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. They make our life so easy. But I'm telling you guys, HST sucks. Is it in addition to, or is it included on a residential transaction? What's the difference?
included.
It's included in why?
Otherwise,
No,
it's added to,
it's
and you pay another 13%.
Well, why? When would you ever say it's in addition to? Why did they give us the choice in Form 100?
If it's is it on a new home? No.
Well, new homes is another story, but here's an obvious one. Are there any commercial activities in this property?
Well, that's right. It's residential, not commercial.
This is residential, wholeheartedly. But if there's a commercial component to this property, and you've seen these properties, you know, along busy streets, residential upstairs, and what's downstairs?
Retail store.
Right. Can you say it's included in? Is the retail store exempt from HST?
No.
No. So you guys got to be really careful when you're selecting this. It's not an automatic thing. How about farmland? We're using Form 100 to buy a farmland. Is it included in, or is it in addition to?
In addition,
Why? The question becomes, is there any commercial activity? Is it a working farm, or is it just a residential farm? Is there any income being produced from that property? Boy, I'm really making you guys think today, aren't I? But these are questions that need to get answered before you can answer them on a piece of paper. Because once you plug this in, include it in, you're liable for what you've just created, aren't you? Great, let's keep going. Title search, 2 weeks before closing date. It is a single family residential home. We assume, looks like a single family residential home, doesn't it, guys? Right, let's go back to Stratus, take a look at the front of that house. Yeah, I'm not gonna really argue, okay? Closing arrangement, document discharge. You guys learned all this in the college, so I'm not gonna go through all of these clauses, okay? Look at this. They even pre-fill the names of the party right in the agreement for you. There's my name. There's a listing agent's name. Okay. Anybody know the acknowledgement? Why do we need acknowledgement? Why do people sign the acknowledgement before they receive a copy? Signed copy? What does it say? Signed copy is accepted as. Did you receive a signed copy? No, but I'm going to sign it anyways. That kind of stuff. Okay. Now we're into the schedule. Look what the template has done for me. I've pre-populated my Schedule A with a whole bunch of clauses, but there's something that's kind of missing here. So I've got my offer conditional upon the mortgage. I've got my offer conditional upon inspection. I'm going to put in here, in case you're curious from the OREA clauses, I'm going to put in first. Oops. Sorry, I'm getting an ad popped up on my computer. First charge mortgage, okay? And I want this to be for 5 days. No, let's make it 3 days. So let's say until 6 p.m. because banks all close at 5 o'clock, right? And what is 3 days from now? Friday? Friday is the what, 23rd? So let's put the 23rd on September 23rd, 2022. Seems pretty clear, right? This is an OREA standard clause, guys. And the reason why we physically put in the time and date is because there's no confusion if you put in a time and date as to when this condition expires. Now, there's a whole bunch of clauses floating around out there that says 3 business days, 5 business days. Okay. Can anybody tell me when a business day begins and ends? If you want to use that clause, fire it away. When does a business day start and finish? Anybody want to unmute themselves?
Monday to Friday.
No, well, when does it start?
Oh, I guess
Define day.
Nine a.m. to 5 p.m.
Really? Your day starts at 9?
No, but just an educated guess for like.
Is it educated? Yes. That's, you know what? That's the assumption that most agents have. So you reflect 99.9% of real estate agents. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But it's not true. The day doesn't start at 9 a.m. When does the day start? 12
a.m.
a.m. When does it end?
11:59 p.m.
11:59 p.m. Can we all agree that that is a day? We haven't left anything out in that day, have we? So when you're typing these things and you're using business days, you're technically, in my opinion, saying you have all day. You have until 11:59 p.m. Now, when does the day start? Well, if I took a 1-day condition and the condition starts today, right? I'll give them 24 hours or until the end of the next business day, which is 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. But you see, your definition, what you think, may be different from in the eyes of the client and the other agent. So at OREA, we give you the date and time when this condition expires. Are we clear? I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm actually gonna do the inspection really quickly. I'm gonna do the inspection. I'm gonna finish it by, let's say, 10 p.m. Okay, I'm gonna do it the day before, the 22nd of September 2022. Okay. Now that I've got all that in there, remember we're talking about a further deposit? Watch this. If you want to add a clause that's not in here, I'm going to pick a little space here. By the way, the very first clause in here, obviously, we're going to pay the balance of the purchase price. Okay, so when you guys are preparing offers, always use this clause. You're promising to pay the balance of the purchase price on closing using this clause, standard OREA clause. Okay, then immediately after that, you want to put in your conditions. However, if there's anything to do with the deposit, this is your opportunity to put in here. I'm going to click on Add Clause. Okay, I'm going to look at system clauses, which are OREA clauses, English, and I'm going to type in deposit, DEP/PAY. So all the deposit clauses are technically under DEP/PAY. If I wanted to pay a further sum, I'm going to give them $50,000 now. Just to sweeten the deal, I want to give them an extra $50,000. Okay, I can put in this clause. You see, I can put in $50,000 subject to adjustment, and it's going to be in a certified check or bank draft. You see where that we can actually say as otherwise described in, okay? So these are all deposit increase, multiple payments. Here's another one, right? It's not just one. You're going to put in multiple deposits. Maybe it's a giant property and you can give them $100,000 today. You can give them $100,000 in 30 days. Give them another $100,000 in 90 days. So you can use these clauses in order to specify that. Where does it belong? I'm going to close this. It belongs right after balance of purchase price, before the conditions. Now we've got our conditions. Okay, I want to talk briefly about surveys. You're going to hear this from lawyers. Nothing replaces a survey. Has anybody heard that? But agents today don't seem to be asking for them. Why is that? Too lazy? Forgot to ask? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to just, like this particular property, as we saw in Geo Warehouse, is there something funky going on in here? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't you think it'd be prudent to go take a look at a survey to see what you can find? What's going on with this little piece of land behind the property? It looks like they were all joined together at one point, right? I'm going to watch this. If I actually go into here, oops, let's open up the map. Oops. Where's the other map? Is the other map here? Yeah, there it is. Sorry. If I zoom in to this parcel and I long click, I'm going to move the pin over to this parcel. I'm actually going to click the property report for this little thing. There's something going on here. Somebody actually owns this little sliver of land with no frontage on anything. 1913 is when this person bought this little sliver of land. What does that mean? What is Midway? She owns the Midway? How weird is this? It's like a little piece of land left over from the beginning of time, over 100 years ago. This person's probably dead. See what we just discovered? But anyways, let's not talk about that right now. We want a survey. So we're gonna be nice. Existing. What's an alternative to existing? Anybody? Anybody want a new survey? Right, and how fast do we want them to give it to us? Let's give them 5 banking days. Just give them long enough. Seller represents and warns the channels of fixtures and included this agreement to purchase and sale will be in good working order, free of all liens and encumbrances. So don't go to Leon's and don't buy some appliances under the don't pay a cent event. they still have that? Don't pay you a cent and they ship you a whole bunch of appliances? No. The parties agree that this representation and warranty shall, I want to talk about this. This clause right here. Can someone explain to me what this means? What did they teach you in the college? Survive and not merge. Anybody?
So it survives up until closing and not beyond.
Right. Excellent. Someone deserves. If we were in person, I'd be throwing you candy. Halloween candy. Okay. So let's visualize that. Good answer. Survive and not merge upon completion. So if you give any warranty that these chattels are going to be in good working order up until the closing date and not beyond. So why do people think, but there's a warranty clause in here? And that means even after I close, there's a warranty, right? Is that what you guys read? No, and you read it wrong. Okay, OREA built these clauses. Why? After the closing date, there should be no further liability to anybody. So do your job. Make sure everything is fine and dandy, because once that thing closes, you pretty much want to forget about it. Don't you? You want things to be lingering on after the fact? Okay. Seller agrees to leave the premises, including the floors, in a clean and broom swept condition. Such a simple statement, but how many people actually do it? Anybody walked into a house after closing and what did you find? Any stories out there? I found restaurants, you know, those hot plate, the sneeze boards. That thing must have weighed 1,000 pounds. They left it in the garage for us. And I was pissed off. Why would you leave that behind? Oh, it was too heavy to move, sorry. When are you gonna come by and pick it up? It's your problem now. I was so angry. Any other stories about what they left behind? Anybody get a property and they left behind the pets? Little Fifi Shishi walking around the house. They didn't want to move the family. Their house, actually, isn't it? But anyways, we want brooms about condition.
I had a situation with my in-laws. I wasn't a realtor at the time, ago many years ago, where the buyers thought we switched the appliances.
Wow, that's quite the accusation.
Yeah, we didn't.
Did you write down the serial numbers?
No.
You should have. So actually, my inspector will write down the serial numbers of all the appliances if we can get an inspection in. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when you're partnering yourself up with an inspector, make sure you find one that actually will go the extra mile and write down this model and serial numbers of all the appliances. Because here's what else he does. He actually inputs that into a database. And if there's any recalls for any of the products, you automatically get emailed and notified that there's a recall on that particular product. Or like, say it's a safety recall.
Wow.
Pretty good service, eh? I'll introduce that inspector to you guys at some other point. Okay, any questions about Schedule A? No?
Are you going back to that deposit? Because I was unclear when you said upon acceptance. So if it's on Friday, it's impossible for you to wire transfer something on a Saturday, or can you wire transfer something on a Saturday? Doesn't it go to
I can wire transfer things on a Saturday.
And a Sunday as well?
Yep.
So you can do
But
it.
not everybody can, right?
But you have to do it through a bank, don't you?
Yep.
Well, the banks aren't open sometimes on a Sunday.
But there's something called e-banking. I'll show that to you guys some other time. I'm going to introduce, we have a platform called Payload. And what it does is when somebody wants to request the deposit, we can send them a link if it's our listing. And instead of giving them our trust account information, they can actually give us their banking information and we can extrapolate and hold, right? In it's almost like what's that? Not eBay. What was Elon? PayPal. It's like an enhanced PayPal for real estate transactions.
Because I just did one now for myself, and I had to pay $45 to my bank and $17.50 to the seller's bank. Crazy bank charges.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so Nicholas is asking, how do I populate my form here in the template? I'm gonna do you guys a favor. I'm actually gonna go in here. I'm gonna go into my YouTube channel. I do as a oh, that's not my YouTube channel. That's my shared drive. YouTube. I'm gonna post in the comment section, guys, a couple of things here. My library, my videos, and I'm gonna go into my web form. This is a 3-hour training class. Okay. And where's the web forms and Authenticign? Where is it here? I've done a lot of training, as you guys can see. Here it is. So if I actually go in here, I want to get a shareable link. It's copied to the clipboard. I go back to Zoom. Okay. And I'm going to open my chat box. Oh, by the way, I'm holding a masterclass on Thursday morning. I'm sending that link in here. And then the second link is my YouTube video on how to create transaction templates in web form. So Nicholas, I hope this answers your question. Right? Yeah, I can hear my video being played. So anyways, that is all in here, guys. Okay. Any questions about the agreement purchase sale? I could add, when you watch that video, you're going to see how I upload a Schedule B, how you modify the agreement, the co-op agreement, working with a realtor. I'm running out of time here, guys, so I'm gonna try to skip a couple of those important forms, but I hope that you learned all that at the college. Okay. What's next on our list? Okay, let's pretend we submitted this. Now we prepared this beautiful agreement. If I actually go over here, I can click on File, and for the traditional real estate agent, we're going to print this because we're actually going to physically carry paper with us, right? So if I click on Print, I got my little handy HP over here, and where is it? There's my print preview. Click on this. All my controls are covered by the Zoom controls. I'm going to click on Print. All right. And is my printer on? My printer doesn't seem to be on. There it goes. Okay, so my printer's on. Now I'm printing this in hard copy. Right? Let's get out of the print menu. I want to switch to forms. I just did the agreement purchase and sale. Here's my co-op agreement, guys. I'm gonna blast through this, okay? Listing brokerage represents the seller. I represent the buyer. So that's over here, cooperating. I want the commission in the MLS system. I'm gonna go back to the MLS system. Tell me if I'm going too fast. It's at the bottom here. It says 2.5% plus HST. I'm gonna copy that right into my form. Paste, okay? Make sure you use the check boxes, okay? I'm gonna sign it. My client's going to sign it. I'm going to send it to the listing agent. Click on transaction forms, working with a realtor. And as I explained to some people just recently, the most important thing in here is the critical information, right? Any deal breaking information that you're aware of, got to disclose to your client, okay? And the acknowledgement would be by the broker. So the name of the brokerage goes down here. Your client's names go up here. And if they're buyers, that's where the brokerage information goes. Okay. They would initial, obviously that, if you're representing their best interest, then they're going to initial this. But if you're going to be, I'm not sure if you guys have heard recently, but under TRESA, the new Real Estate and Business Broker Act, they have renamed customer service to self-represented parties. Now, these forms are going to change that in the near future, but for now, these are all the forms that we have. So we got to continue on, and we'll use the old forms until the new forms are available. And then obviously your clients are going to sign down here. Okay. If I go back into transaction forms, the next one is the offer summary document. Now, if I go back to this MLS, I'm not sure if this guy's even mentioned the offer summary document. Sometimes if they're expecting multiple offers, they'll indicate that they're going to want a form 801. You may not know what an 801 is right off the get-go. So by looking at this, Ontario Form 801 is the offer summary document. So what they would do is you would send this in advance without sending the agreement of purchase and sale. But obviously you would only send it because knowing that they have signed the agreement of purchase and sale. So if you're holding back the offer and not willing to present it, send them a form 801. Okay, so they know that you have a signed agreement. But then because you sent them the form 801, you better have an assigned agreement when they ask for it. You don't send the stuff unless you actually have stuff signed. If there's conditions, we can use either a waiver or notice of fulfillment. I'm not going to get into the differences today, but there are subtle differences between these two forms. If you made let's say if you discovered something during the inspection and you want to waive the inspection clause, but you want to put in what's called a remediation clause. Well, you can do that here by deleting the agreement. Actually, I'm going to click on this. This is a form that seems to be getting more use now that the market has slowed down. You can see here, there's an insert and delete. So what we traditionally do is we delete anything in the agreement of the existing agreement for, let's say it was the inspection clause. I'm going to put in here, add clause, and I'm going to put in INSP. Okay. And if it was the inspection clause, where is your INSP? Where's the inspection? Condition, general inspection, INSP 01. Okay. Let's say I use this clause. Okay. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, I'm going to just select it, close. I clicked on it, INSP 01. I check mark it over here. Go back to the slot, click OK. It is now inserted that clause. I can modify it, right? Put in the date. I think I picked the 22nd for the inspection, click OK. And then there is what I am deleting. Because that was, let's say this was the original clause from the original agreement of purchase and sale. That's fine. Okay. And then I want to insert. I've deleted my condition. I'm going to type an insert, colon. And I actually have, I'll show this to you guys very briefly. I have personal clauses. Okay. And remediation. So I have, let's say it had Kitech plumbing. Okay. I'm going to select this. You discover Kitech plumbing in the property, right? If there's any Kitech plumbing, let's say the home inspector, this looks like Kitech plumbing. Does anybody here know what Kitech plumbing is? Anyone? Did they teach you this in the college?
They did. I don't remember. I got a memory block.
Okay, so Kitech plumbing is Chinese-made plastic plumbing. It wasn't the plastic that was the biggest issue, though. It was the fittings. So, Tony, do you know what brass fittings are in plastic plumbing?
Yeah.
Okay, so the acceptable amount of zinc in those brass fittings is less than 1%. This company called Kitech created brass fittings in China that contained over 4% zinc. What will that do to the fitting over time?
Rust.
Well, it's not rust. It's called corrosion.
Corrosion. Okay.
And what happens to corrosion after a period of time? It builds up like a crystal.
Yeah.
Have you seen crystal growing in a science beaker? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What happens when those crystals get bigger and bigger and bigger? What do you think is going to happen to the plastic pipe?
It's going to burst at some point.
It's going to burst. So Kitech plumbing is a ticking time bomb in real estate. So I have a remediation clause for Kitech plumbing. Okay, I can share some of these clauses with you guys at a later time, but I just wanted to get this. The whole purpose of this demonstration is to give you an idea of how to amend the agreement and have because watch this, an amendment is like another agreement of purchase and sale. You have to put in another irrevocability. The buyer, right, until 11:59 p.m. Okay, on what day? Well, you just discovered it today. So what date are we going to put in here? We're going to give the seller a couple days to think about this. Okay, I like to give until the 23rd. Okay, and then you got to sign it off, and it's got to be executed or accepted by other parties, just like the original agreement of purchase and sale, and it's got to be acknowledged as well. Okay, so that's a example of an amendment. Okay, if there's something wrong with the property, or if you want to just let them know that everything's good, Okay, and down at the bottom here, let's say you don't want the property at all. This is the worst form that we see out there. And unfortunately, I'm signing these quite regularly now. It's called a mutual release. You had two conditions, it failed the inspection, or your client didn't get the mortgage. Surprise, surprise, interest rates went up. Mortgage broker said, yeah, you would have qualified for this last year, but this year you can't because the mortgage rates are about 5%. Last year they were 1.2%. Okay, so you would actually fill this in and you notify them that you put a $50,000 deposit, and the parties that you're going to disperse this to, okay, are indicated right here, payable to. I don't know why agents get this wrong all the time. It's not payable to the brokerage. It's not payable back to the seller. It's payable back to the original buyer. In this case, it's John Doe. Okay, I'm going to copy that. You want this check to be payable back to John Doe. And there's some weird stuff that's happened out there where I get these mutual releases and John Doe gave me the deposit, but he wants it issued to Jane Doe. Why? What did Jane Doe have to do with this agreement? Well, the money was actually hers. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little complicated because it's your deposit that I'm giving to somebody else. It almost looks like money laundering. So always put the original buyer's name in the payable section. Okay, here's your irrevocability and all the acknowledgements. Oh, there's something in the chat here. I have to enter the task. Okay, great. Jenny, it was good seeing you. Good luck on your task. Any questions about the agreement of purchase and sale before I end this? And we've only got half an hour left. Anyone?
Nope.
Is this pretty intense? It would seem so because you guys are kind of dumbfounded.
It's a lot more work than you really think. There's a lot more, it's detailed. You got to make sure you're doing it properly.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that just this one, and this is a real exercise. I'm using a real form on a real listing. You know, I'm using real software, real clauses. There's nothing fake about this other than the buyer's name. Okay, let's keep going. We got half an hour left. I want to get to the next topic. Okay, the negotiated price. We've asked for you know, some remediation because we found some high-tech plumbing. What if the person comes back and says, hey, we're not fixing anything, but here's what we're willing to do. We want to lower the price by $20,000. Will you accept that? That's called an abatement. Okay, so same thing. Go back here. Let's share this again. So negotiating price and terms. There's something wrong with my mouse. It takes a while to click on stuff now. All right, so we're going to go back into the amendment. Same amendment. It's not the Kitech that's the issue here. Okay, so obviously they accept that we're going to delete the inspection clause, but rather than do this, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take away this clause. Too wordy, right? I'm going to delete the condition, and I'm also going to delete the purchase price. URCHASE, right? Now this seems a little rudimentary. Now we offered $9.99, right? Comma 1, 2, 3 ... Right here, I'll put in the $ just to make it look proper. Okay, we're gonna do. Ooh, what happened there? Shift $. Okay, and we want to insert purchase price. $20,000 less would be $979, right? 979, comma 1, 2, 3 ... Right? Oh yeah, gotta put the $. Do you guys see this? Is this pretty simple? Is this complicated? Now, I've had new agents come up to me and say, why don't we just grab the original agreement, cross out the price, and initial the new price? After it has been accepted, it is written in stone. So please do not go back to the original agreement of purchase sale and modify it. It must be done in an amendment. Okay? Any questions about that? What else could be negotiated? How about the closing date? Okay. You want an earlier closing date? I'll give them a week. Okay. So completion date. What happened there? Fat fingers. Completion date. What was the original completion date? Let's look at the original agreement. Actually, we don't know that. I think we picked the 20th of October, right? So we're going to delete that, and we're going to insert. Let's save some time here. I'm going to, instead of retyping this, I'm going to copy that. And I put it right here. Paste. What's 1 week earlier than October 20th?
13th.
The 13th, right? So I'm going to change the 20 to 13. Is that simple enough? Right? Print, sign. Have we got a deal? Yay! So we got October 13th closing date for $979,000 on this beautiful home in the beaches. All right. Now, is your job over? I don't think your job is over, guys. I think it just started. So now what do we got to do? Who do we got to call? Write this down. The mortgage broker. You're going to send this paperwork to whoever is providing the mortgage if there is a mortgage needed. Okay? You do that immediately. Never, ever, ever delay getting paperwork to a mortgage broker. They will string you alive if you forget. Even 1 day makes a difference. Even half a day makes a difference. Okay? Number two, your lawyers. If you haven't selected a lawyer, especially on a quick closing date like this, you're in big trouble. Reach out to your branch manager and get a recommendation for lawyers who can close very quickly, who are very good at this, very diligent, can produce title searches like this. Okay?
Excuse
Number
me,
three.
Charles. Excuse me, Charles.
Yep.
Why didn't you put the lawyer's name in the sales and purchase agreement?
Well, sometimes people don't have the lawyers, Hammond.
They don't have a lawyer?
Some people don't. They just came to this country. They're new.
Oh, I see.
And they're looking for a lawyer that speaks their language. And they can't find one. Or they don't like them. There's so many reasons why we don't know who the lawyer is going to be at the time of an accepted offer. It happens quite often. Now, as agents, we try to recommend, but you've got to be very careful when you're recommending lawyers, okay?
Yeah.
Always give them a choice. Do not just say, you got to use this lawyer. Because if something bad happens, you're going down with that lawyer.
I see.
Hear you a little bit?
Yeah.
Is that the same for a mortgage broker?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always give people choices. Because if once you've given them choices, and a minimum of 3, really. 2 is good, 3 is better. Because, and I would even document it in an email. Here are a list of 3 people that I suggest you give a call.
So if you say that, okay, I've got 3 mortgage brokers, and they say, well, can you tell me which one you would recommend of the 3?
I would put, okay, you know what? I'll give this one a gold medal, this one a silver medal, this one a bronze.
Okay.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with the guy with the silver medal. He's from Markham, and he's almost as quick as Usain Bolt.
Okay, but you can do that. You can rank them, I guess.
Did you see what I just did? Gold, silver, bronze. What does that mean? They're all good. That's what I'm saying, aren't I?
Yeah.
But maybe the gold medalist guy doesn't have enough time. Okay, what are the silver medalists? They've got more time, but you know what? Silver medalist works for a bank, and what you actually need is a mortgage broker. So you go to number 3, the bronze medalist. Good mortgage broker has ample access to so many different mortgage lenders, and they say, you know what? I can't get you the 4.82%. I can't give you that posted rate. I can't. But I can get you a mortgage at 4.92%. Are you okay with that? Why not? They've got a mortgage. They saved the deal, right?
Mhm.
So that's the kind of people that you want to be surrounded by. You want to have all these options because your job is to come up with the solutions, not the problem. You're the realtor. You're the glue that keeps this transaction together. Okay, who else are we going to call?
Excuse me, Charles. Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Yeah. there is a, in Remax West, there is an in-house mortgage broker, which is called Lending Logics.
Yes.
Do we have any obligation to introduce Lending Logics to our clients or no?
Nope. Does that answer your question? No obligation. If you like them, use them. If you don't like them, use somebody else.
Okay.
Pretty simple to me. Okay.
Okay.
Who else are you going to call when you get an agreement to purchase and sale signed and accepted? If you need a mortgage, what else are you going to need? Probably house insurance, right? You ever had a mortgage broker call and ask, where's the insurance binder? We need to make sure that there's insurance on this house, because if there's no insurance, we can't give you this mortgage. So, and the last but not least, this is tied to the mortgage. You really want to get, especially nowadays, because values have changed so drastically, you want to get in touch with an appraiser. And that's usually through the mortgage broker, but you could also go through third-party appraisals, okay? Just to make sure, especially if you've got a conditional period, just to make sure that your client has not overpaid. Because people that are, let's say they have 15% down. Okay, 15% down, and you qualify for the other 85% mortgage. But the appraisal comes in short. You bought this thing for $979,000, but the appraisal came in at $929,000. What's the mortgage company going to say to you?
Ask you for more money. Yeah.
You got to make up that 50,000. You got another 50,000, then we'll give you the mortgage. Because our appraisal came in at 929, not 979. That happens all the time, doesn't it? Especially in a downward market.
Well, could you repeat that last part again? Sorry about it.
So you go, if you have an accepted agreement of purchase and sale for $979,000, which is what we just wrote, right? And you sent this piece of paper to a mortgage broker, and then they sent it to the appraiser. The appraiser came back and he did all the research, going, a 3-bedroom house in the beaches, semi-detached, all original condition. My information doesn't show it's anywhere near $1 million. It's closer to 930,000. You just bought this thing for 980,000. They don't match.
Who's paying for the appraisal though?
Usually the lender pays for the appraisal 99% of the time. But you can, if you want a second opinion, go out and find your own and get it appraised.
Sorry, the lender's the bank.
Yeah. Because the appraiser works for the bank.
Yeah, I know that, but okay, so you've already made the deal. And so that's why you need a it wouldn't matter.
It's just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They don't know what property you're going to buy when they give you a pre-approval. Now you bought a property and the appraisal comes up short.
Yeah, but
I hope you got some reserve funds in order to close that deal.
But you've
I
already,
hope you didn't waive any of the conditions.
oh, I see. So within the 5-day financing protects you on that, right? So if you have, okay, I gotcha. All right, I was getting confused.
So could you explain the solution to that problem?
So the
Sorry.
solution is that your client comes up with more money. Simple. Money solves everything. But Donald Trump is money.
So when you say send documents upon acceptance, you're sending it to the mortgage broker, that covers your appraisal. You don't have to worry about that, right?
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then lawyer, you send it to, and then you send it to an insurance company as well?
That's right. Because you're going to need an insurance binder. If you need a mortgage, you're probably going to need home insurance.
What are you sending to them? Just the purchase agreement?
The agreement. They're going to want to know all the details. Now, here's a beautiful thing about inspectors. They will provide you a report, and they will document all the questions that insurance companies need to know. Age of the roof, age of the foundation, condition of the property, type of heating systems that are involved. All that stuff gets incorporated in an insurance policy. So just be prepared to answer all those questions, because you were in the home. The insurance broker was never inside the house. So you got to be able to answer all these questions for that on behalf of your client. That's why the inspections are so important. and your knowledge of what this house is made of is equally important. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, everything's gone fine. You've got the mortgage, you've got the commitment letter, or you've got the, the guarantee from the bank that you're going to get this mortgage. You're going to go in a couple of days before this whole thing closes in October. What do you need to do? You need to book an appointment with the seller. Now, there is a clause in the agreement of purchase and sale that I like to put in, and that is a couple of purchaser visits. And there's two reasons. You obviously want your client, if you're the buyer agent, to be connected to the property. And also, you also want to monitor any changes that the property has undergone from the time that you put the agreement in place to just before you close. So it is really important for you guys to schedule some kind of purchaser visit closest to the closing date as possible. And let's go back to that scenario, that accusation that someone swapped appliances. It's happened. I hate to say it. They removed light fixtures. They removed the mirrors. They took all the LED lights off the fence posts.
How do you prove that though?
Pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? I'll share this story with you. I actually had a condo at 1 Scott Street, and it's called the London condo. And they accused the tenant, it was a tenanted property. The seller didn't want property anymore, kicked the tenant out, sold the property, tenant's gone. The buyer actually was someone I showed the property to, but she brought in her own real estate agent. I was pissed off about that. She accused the tenant of denting the stainless steel fridge. That the fridge was not in the same condition as when she bought the property. Now, when she bought the property, the tenant had all these magnets on the fridge. Guess what? You couldn't see the condition of the stainless steel. So she went to her lawyer, and I got a notice from the lawyer saying, yes, our client is informed us that the refrigerator is no longer in the same condition. You owe us a new stainless steel refrigerator. I went, whoa, wait a minute, buddy. What's interesting is I was the original listing agent on this condo when it was vacant, and I got that tenant for the landlord. And I went back to my MLS photos from 4 or 5 years in the past, and I looked, and that dent was in the photo 4 years ago.
Well, how do you know that photo is recent though?
Because it's on MLS, it's timestamped.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah.
That's why you're not allowed to delete photos from the Toronto MLS. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a historical account of what that property looked like at that time. Okay? That's for the buyer visit. So hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully there's no problems. Now, subject to wear and tear. There's an extra scratch in the floor. Too bad, so sad. That's normal. Okay? And the closing day. I'm going to share this with you guys. We're running out of time here. We only got 12 minutes. Share screen. Where is my PDF? Share. I want to share this with you. There it is. Okay, so this is from Mark Weisleiter. He owns a company called Real Estate Lawyers. You guys see this? He's got all these law offices all over the city. Okay. He's got a little checklist. Okay, I'm going to share this with you guys. Okay. Look at this. To be completed immediately. Agreement of purchase and sale. Okay. This is where you're going to email them. Mortgage or line of credit. Telling you to contact your mortgage broker. Personal information. Okay. So obviously you're going to actually have to go in. The one thing that I didn't show you guys with the FinTrack, but you guys should obviously know that if you know your client, you've asked for their identification. Okay. And you've asked their questions. Talked about insurance. So in the original MLS listing, we know that there was taxes. How do we verify that the taxes are current? Ask for the tax bills. For rented properties, this is a very complicated issue, and it's becoming more and more complicated as time goes on, is that if you're buying a property with a tenant in it, your closing date, if you use a VAC-01 clause, it means that if the tenant refuses to leave, the buyer agrees to assume the tenant. You guys get that?
Repeat that?
If property is tenanted, let's say it's a basement tenant, something that I just sold. And you've given the tenant notice, 60 days notice, you gotta move because the buyer is gonna move into the property, right? Legally, is that a legal eviction? Yes. The buyer wants to move in, right? But what if the tenant doesn't want to go? What happens on the closing date? Still closes, right? You guys are probably having cold chills going through your spines. What do you mean? Why didn't they leave? Because they had nowhere to go. But what happens to the closing date? They're still going to close. And now, your client, if you're the buyer agent, is now the new landlord for this tenant. You have to continue the process that the previous owner started by evicting them. Crazy, eh? And if they actually stay there for more than a month, that 1 month's rent for evicting them that the previous seller owed the tenant now gets transferred to you. Is this new? You guys didn't know this? So when you're showing properties, and there's a tenant there, you got to know these things. And that's why they're difficult to sell, tenanted properties. Okay, calculate closing funds. There are a number of statement of adjustments, okay? Things like property taxes, utility bills that have to get adjusted on the closing date. The lawyer will calculate exactly how much money is coming from the mortgage, how much money did you put down, how much, the legal fees cost. If you have to pay any insurance, like CMHC insurance premiums, are they folded into the mortgage? All those calculations, right, get produced by the lawyer, but you have to make sure that the lawyer has all the correct information. And now this is these guys have a mobile service, but because of the pandemic, we're doing Zoom closings where the lawyer will actually email the agent the closing documents, and they will witness the buyers or sellers on Zoom, like what we're doing right now. They're going to hold up the pieces of paper, and then they're going to sign it. They're going to hold it up to the camera, and the lawyer technically witnessed that signature via video conference. Now, another thing that the pandemic changed is if you're the listing agent, you're probably going to be required to leave a lockbox at the property because a lot of lawyers don't want to take keys at their offices because of the pandemic. Leave the keys at the property and put a unique code on that key box so that when the thing does close and the permission to release that code goes out, the buyers can simply go to the property, extract the keys out of the lockbox, and then you can go and follow up and remove the lockbox from the property as a courtesy. Okay? Any questions about this form? Okay. I'm gonna close all these tabs, stop sharing. We have 6 minutes left. We've done really good today. There was something that I was going to show you guys, but I think I'm going to save that for another time. And that has to do with personality styles. We didn't have enough time to go through it, but I'm actually going to show you guys this. I'm going to share my Microsoft Word. This is really exciting. I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing on Thursday. Okay. Go share screen. Here's the agenda for Thursday. Thursday is my biggest training day. It's not going to be 2 hours, guys. It's going to be 2.5. We're going to be comparing Stratus to Realm. Okay. We're going to be talking about how to search for properties. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. How to generate auto emails. Now, traditionally, on the old system, we call them prospect matches. But I'm going to be showing you, right, how the new Collab system has been integrated into Realm, where you can actually monitor what people are doing by giving them access to the Toronto MLS system. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do flex searches. Okay, and specifically, we know that power of sales are starting to come up. So how do you search for power of sales? I'm going to be showing you through the Mississauga Real Estate Board access to the ITSO system. So that's the Information Technology Systems of Ontario. And what that is the MLS boards outside of Toronto. So if you want to sell Barrie, Peterborough, Lakeland, which is up in Muskoka, London, Guelph, Hamilton, Oakville, all of these towns outside of Toronto, they don't put their listings on our system. They have their own MLS system. So how do you access that? I'm going to show you how to do that on Thursday. How to use Geo Warehouse. I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks. It's like I showed you today on how to extract instrument numbers on weird lots. How to use the impact system, we refer to as public records. We're going to talk a little bit about social media. I'm going to show you some things that I do with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. We've also got YouTube, and since then we've gotten TikTok, which I don't heavily use. I use it more for fun than I do for business. And if we have time, I'm going to show you a couple of ways to create flyers. And I don't think we're going to get to this last point on how to create professional emails, but that's okay. I'm sure you guys can figure that out if we run out of time. Okay? Any questions? No?
As a buyer's agent, how much would you usually recommend a buyer to put aside for all the extra fees that will come up, like lawyer fees or mortgage, maybe the appraisal, all of that?
You're asking me a very funny question because I actually just did in one of my mastermind sessions a closing cost spreadsheet, and I will share that with you right now. You want me to send this to you guys as well?
Yes, please. I
Okay,
would
so
really-
watch this.
Yes, please.
This is totally off topic, but you bring up a good point, and this was actually part of my training just a few weeks ago. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to share the spreadsheet with you guys. Now, what's this spreadsheet do? Can anybody see by reading this? 5% down. There's tabs at the bottom here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35. Okay. Let's talk about how much down do you have. So, Hammett, is there a specific amount that you want me to tackle?
My client right now can provide 20% down.
Okay, 20% down. I'm gonna click on the 20% tab here. Okay.
$1.2 million property.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. They can't borrow more than $1 million. Did you know that?
I didn't know. That's
Okay,
actually
so there is no CMH insurance above $1 million. So anything above $1 million, I hope your clients have in cash. Do
they do. They actually don't. I don't know. I haven't really talked to them in specific about that. But he said he talked to a mortgage broker and he can afford up to 1.2.
Okay, so you know why? He probably has $200,000, and he can add a $1 million mortgage, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so let's go with this. This is just a ballpark. If he was getting a $1 million purchase price, and I can put 1.2 million here if I really want, but let's just use this as a scenario. $200,000 down payment. The loan is $800,000. Look at the CMHC insurance premium. How much is that? Almost
19,200. Yeah.
But you know what? You have to pay it. But it's probably going to be getting incorporated in the mortgage somewhere. So your client's not going to feel it. But on top of that, there's PST on the $19,200. Provincial land transfer tax is mandatory, correct? How much is just a provincial land transfer tax on $1 million property?
What is it?
0.475.
It's almost $17,000. And are they buying in Toronto? Or are they buying in York Region, or where are they buying?
Outside Toronto, Markham and Richmond.
You save this column. You save that money by not buying in Toronto. That's another land transfer tax. Lawyers usually charge about $2,000. Put that aside. $100 for home insurance. Look at what you need to close in addition to the 20% that you put down. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
So I will send this closing cost chart to all of you so that when you're talking to your prospective buyer, you can do a rough calculation as to how much money they should really put aside from the mortgage. That makes sense?
What's the home insurance there? $200? That seems light, doesn't it?
It is. I'm being nice. You want me to be mean?
Yeah. I don't know where you get home insurance for $200.
I know, but you know what? You want to know what the really strange thing is, honestly, Tony, is that the CMHC recommends 1.5% for closing costs. It's a lie.
I didn't realize, well, you said land transfer tax. There's an Ontario and there's a Toronto as well. In Toronto?
Yes, there's 2 land transfer taxes.
If you deal in Toronto,
Yeah,
what's considered Toronto? The GTA?
416.
Anything outside of that, you don't pay that extra land
South
transfer?
of Steeles, right? Etobicoke and East, Scarborough and West.
So outside of that, you don't pay that extra tax.
That's
Land-
right.
Wow. I
That's
didn't-
why all the real estate just over those borders is worth so much more. They don't have to pay that extra tax.
Wow. That's a killer.
It's a killer.
It's a
How much is
scam,
that?
honestly.
What percentage are they taking?
What do you mean? They're taking all.
Now, what's Toronto? What they charge on land transfer tax in Toronto?
Okay, so if you actually want to talk about the land transfer tax calculator, okay, let's go back into my spreadsheet real quick, okay? I'll show you the mathematical equation that I extrapolated. So to calculate the Toronto LTT, if I actually click on the cell, look at this. It takes so from 55,000, right? You're going to be charging 0.5%, right?
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for the next 345,000, which is the up to 400,000, right?
Yeah.
It's about 1%. And then from anything that is in section, so you take the purchase price and minus that from the first 400,000, it's 2%.
Wow.
That is the calculation for the Toronto land transfer tax. If you go onto the toronto.ca, you do a search on Toronto land transfer tax, it'll give you the equation. It's the same.
What's the provincial one then? How's that?
If I click on provincial LTT, okay,
It's-
so A3, which is the purchase price, right, times 2% minus $3,525. The $3,525 is for, I believe, the first $400,000 exemption.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's a different calculation.
But you're paying more in provincial than you are in Toronto, you know.
Got it. But look at all these things that I haven't calculated for. Property taxes, maintenance fees for condos, utilities, service hookup fees for new construction, registration fees. Like lawyers like to charge what's called law society fees, home inspection fees. That's on you. If you need appliances on a vacant property with no appliances, you got to buy those. Sometimes they demand a survey. I don't know why. Something wrong with the lot line. Your moving expenses. If it's a partially commercial property, is there GST/HST implications? And anything that you have to fix before you can occupy the property. None of that calculation is in here.
Wow.
Real estate's expensive, guys.
Can you send that? You're gonna send that to us, eh?
You're gonna all get this.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so it takes me, actually, this is a revision from a form that I created back in 2009. The last time there was an economic disaster. Remember that little recession that we had in 2009?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I first created this form. You know what? The CMHC fees have gone up so much. It basically doubled since then. Everything's more expensive. Let's call it inflation. Everybody see the news this morning? Canadian inflation rate is at 7%.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyways, stop sharing. You guys are going to get all this information. I hope that you guys can join me on Thursday for our last and final session on technology. If you guys know of anybody that really, whether they're seasoned or new, that you think will benefit from this training, please feel free to share that registration link that you guys all used to register for this program. I usually get a much more heavier presence and interaction on my technology day. But I'm not going to forget you guys. You guys have held out and endured with me. So I'll put you guys at the top of the list if you have any questions, okay?
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're very
Charles,
welcome,
your
guys.
sessions are very informative, so it's amazing, and I'm very happy that I'm attending your sessions. It's very helpful to me,
Guys,
at
if I
least
could
that I
spend
know.
2.5 hours with you in one day at once, you would get all this at once, but you see how hard it is, right?
No, it's absolutely it is. But thank you so much for sharing all your in-depth experience, detailed information.
And you know what? There's more to come. Can you believe it?
Yeah, that was
We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, very informative, very good.
Okay,
I
and
won't- I
you
won't be
guys
next
did get the
Thursday.
YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
For my 3-hour video on web forms and Authentisign. I hope you guys take that training, learn how to create templates, learn how to upload all the forms and clauses to your template so that you guys can have an easier time when someone says, I need you to prepare an offer. I can do it like that. And that makes you that much of a better professional. Okay? Great. I will see you guys on Thursday,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks,
care.
Charles. Have a great night.
Have a
Thank
great
you. Have a
night.
good night. Thank you very much.
Bye.